Ready to fight, Iran vows fierce revenge against America, but insists the door to diplomacy remains open for now. War with the US is essential. Iran's lead negotiator draws a hard red line, signaling Tehran will not back down. Iran's deadly missiles and drone barrages unleash fresh devastation across the region following Donald Trump's latest military strikes. Are Mojtaba's forces on the cusp of a major breakthrough, as America and its Gulf allies watch the escalating conflict in growing horror? Iran's lead negotiator delivered a stern warning to Donald Trump as tensions between Tehran and Washington climbed to their highest level yet. On July 15, Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf declared that, unlike the United States, Iran had never sought war despite the escalating confrontation. Ghalibaf warned that Iran is fully prepared to fight until the very end while still leaving the door open for a negotiated peace agreement. The senior Iranian negotiator argued that Tehran is engaged in what he described as an essential but existential struggle against the United States. Ghalibaf accused the Trump administration of pursuing a deliberate strategy aimed at toppling Iran's government and tearing the country apart. The Iranian parliament speaker also lashed out at Washington, accusing America of repeatedly violating the terms of the memorandum of understanding. Ghalibaf warned that Iran would no longer remain committed to the agreement if it delivered no meaningful benefit to Tehran. He further cautioned that any attempt to undermine the memorandum of understanding would invite a firm and uncompromising response from Iran. Iran's parliament speaker said, and I quote, "We have never welcomed war and do not, but we must always be ready to fight and stand to the end to safeguard our national security and interests. Separating and choosing either negotiation or war as the only solution is a strategic error." End quote. The Iranian official went on to claim that Tehran now believes it is edging closer to a decisive victory over the United States. Iran's parliament speaker said, and I quote, "Know that we will stand by our word. We have pledged our lives to defend this country. Know that by the grace of God, the victory of dear Iran is near and your historic resistance will endure. Have faith that your suppressed resentments and this unparalleled unity of each and every Iranian nation on the battlefield will guarantee our victory. Not only are we not afraid of threats and war with the enemy, but under the guidance of the supreme leader of the revolution, we will give a decisive response to these crimes to the criminal enemy." End quote. Iran's foreign ministry also made it clear that Tehran will honor the memorandum of understanding only if the United States fully upholds its own commitments.
Since the beginning, we have said commitment in return for commitment, meaning we fulfill our commitments as long as the other side honors theirs. The other side violated its commitments, and we, too, refrain from fulfilling ours wherever necessary. As we continue, it is the same path. It doesn't matter if we say it exists or doesn't exist. An agreement is not a strange thing. It's just a collection of reciprocal commitments. I use the term turned into pieces, and Mr. Gharibabadi used the term destroyed. The reason is that the other side has begun breaking promises from the beginning of the first paragraph. And our hands are not tied. Our armed forces respond to the aggression of the U.S.
This came as Iran launched retaliatory military strikes immediately after the United States carried out fresh attacks on July 15th. On July 15th, the United States launched a rare wave of broad daylight airstrikes against targets inside Iran, marking a dramatic escalation in the conflict. The U.S. Central Command claimed the 90-minute barrage was aimed exclusively at Iranian military installations across multiple locations. CENTCOM initially insisted that only military facilities were struck, but videos circulating online quickly fueled questions over that narrative. In Iran's Chabahar, a marine control tower was reportedly hit during the July 15 strikes, raising fresh concerns over the scope of the operation. Iran also alleged that a civilian wheat storage facility in Hawizeh was struck a day earlier, accusing Washington of targeting non-military infrastructure. However, the U.S. Central Command flatly rejected Iran's accusations, maintaining that every strike was directed solely at legitimate military objectives. CENTCOM said, and I quote, "Claim, Iranian state media claims that U.S. forces struck a civilian wheat storage facility in Hawizeh on July 14th. This is false. Truth, on July 14th, U.S. forces hit Iranian military targets in Bandar Abbas, Khormoj, Awaz, Keshem, Tun, Bushehr. and coup stacked to degrade Iran's ability to attack commercial shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. Meanwhile, Iran has targeted innocent civilians transiting the strait and in neighboring Gulf countries. End quote. Meanwhile, U.S. President Donald Trump warned that additional American strikes against Iran would continue if the situation escalates further.
Has the war resumed?
Well, I guess you could define it any way you want, but certainly we're beating them up really badly. They have to be beat up. We're hitting them very, very hard. We're hitting every single thing that they have along the shore, along the waterfront. I mean, literally 2 days ago, we had a deal, and then they broke it at the last moment. They broke it.
Will these strikes continue?
They'll continue until I say it's enough. I mean, they'll continue. They've been, the word the military likes to use is degrade. They've been degraded to a very low level. But we're going to hit them very hard tonight. We're going to hit them very hard tomorrow night. We're going to hit them very hard the night after. And then next week it gets really bad for them because next week comes the power plants. Next week comes the bridges. We're going to knock out all their power plants. We're going to knock out all their bridges unless they get to the table and negotiate.
When you made the decision to launch Operation Epic Fury, was there a specific piece of intelligence that made you decide to launch this operation?
Well, it was specific in the sense that it just never stops, and they're going to go forward, and they wanted a nuclear weapon. We knew they wanted a nuclear weapon. If they have a nuclear weapon, Israel wouldn't be here. Look,
they said they didn't want a nuclear weapon.
Well, they say that. Everything they say is a lie. They lie. I've never seen anything like it. You better make a deal. You're not going to have anybody left. We're being very careful with the civilian population, as you know, but I said, you better make a deal. You're not going to have anything left.
And you think they will?
They should. I don't know if they will or not.
America's swift rebuttal came only after Iran issued a stark warning that directly challenged Donald Trump over the latest strikes. Iran's foreign ministry warned that any further breach of the memorandum of understanding would trigger a proportionate military response. Iran's foreign ministry said, and I quote, "The other side has violated its commitments and broken its promises from the outset of the Memorandum of Understanding. And the Islamic Republic will respond proportionately both in the field and in implementing its commitments." End quote. The IRGC has already begun retaliatory action against what it describes as the U.S. naval blockade around the Strait of Hormuz. On July 15th, the IRGC reportedly fired warning shots at 2 vessels attempting to pass through the strategic waterway without complying. Iran also delivered another pointed message to Donald Trump by unveiling a bold new mural in Tehran on July 15th. A new mural depicting U.S. President Donald Trump in a coffin has been unveiled in Tehran, reflecting the raw anger and desire for revenge coursing through Iran's hardline circles. The mural was installed at Tehran's Dangles Square, a symbolically charged location often used for political messaging and revolutionary imagery. The artwork shows Trump lying in a coffin alongside the phrase "We kill Trump," turning the display into an explicit death threat rather than just a protest image. This installation comes amid mounting hardline calls for revenge after Ali Khamenei's killing, with public art now echoing the rhetoric of retaliation. The mural follows days of escalating military confrontation between Tehran and Washington.